Welcome to EIPIP Meeting 67. I have shared agenda in chat here. We have a few items listed for discussion from the past meetings. Some of them are new, and yeah, probably we will look into some of the open pull request and issues. So starting with number one, the first one is related to external link policy. So external link policy has been under discussion for quite some time. I have added the links to issues, and I believe there is also an open pull request. It's a proposal for the process for allowing external link. This pull request was opened by Sam. So yeah, Sam has a proposal. He has created a pull request. Maybe Sam, if you would like to provide an overview of what that it is and how would it help?
Sure. So 5757 is basically like a process for like a set of requirements. Like it's a process and a set of requirements you have to satisfy to get a particular source of links approved. So as an example, you'd submit like W3C. You'd create an EIP for it, and you'd describe how it meets all of the requirements specified in 5757, and if it does meet all the requirements, editors approve it and it moves into the living status, and then you're allowed to use links to the W3C.
Sorry, I missed the first part of it, but whenever you request to add a new source, that is a separate EIP, or that just goes into 5757 or both?
It's a separate EIP because they should have their own discussion threads. That's kind of my motivation for that. Because I feel like there's going to be a lot of argument about each of these things. So I like the idea of them having their own threads.
Okay, but the individual EIPs for the sources are not living.
Yep, because a source may change, like it might add a fee for publishing, or it might have some change that requires removing it as a permitted source, and you can't do that if it's final, so we put them into living status.
I mean, I don't think they necessarily need to be living, because we can have 5757 be the canonical list of accepted ones. Like, to me, that's the point of 5757 being living.
I see what you're saying. So you'd create an EIP, it would go to final, and then if it loses its status, you just leave it at final and then take it out of 5757. And if it comes back, you create a new EIP to bring it back.
I think, yeah, I might prefer that. Like, I generally don't like this living status, and I think we should minimize them. But I don't know if there's a good way for avoiding this in 5757. Maybe, like, I don't know. Maybe my ideal world is that these go in, like the list of accepted 5757 sources go into EIP1.
Yeah,
that
that's
way you say
right now.
Okay, but 5757 is also living. And so like in my world, only EIP1 would be living, 5757 would go to final, and then the EIPs that like are the sources, once they go to final and they're accepted into EIP1, EIP1 ends up being the only living thing.
So you want the process to be a final EIP, and then the decision for each source to be a final EIP. Yeah, that's reasonable. I can change.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's kind of annoying, I know, but like I think the living status is a weird one, and I want to minimize using it where all possible.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I'll do that.
All right. I also want.
Yeah, if I may, I have three feedback on this. So first of all, I'm hoping that Galvin, Greg, and Panda can be participating. I think between you two and I think Galvin and Greg, Colvin, and Panda are on the two further extremes. It might be helpful for them, their consideration to be taken into their thoughts to be taken into consideration. Second piece of feedback is the approach to use EIP to get a new one to be in. I think that's going to slow the process down a lot for something to be included and can hurt the process. Imagine currently an average time from draft to review is about a month, and then each step is about a month, and there's a final, like the fastest you can get is 3 months minimum to go in as a final. Imagine there's a valuable piece of source. It takes too long, I think, for the depending EIPs to have it adopted. We have seen a lot of a few existing EIPs that is beneficial, that is citing the source, which I think should be citing, providing information. They have been forced to drop the link that is providing context. There's two type of people who put in links. Either it's scammer or it's good intention author who want to provide more context. And I think we have urged on the side that is too conservative and has heard it. So that would be thing. I would be in favor procedurally if we can kind of have a group discussion, and then if editor group allowed it, then we can just immediately adopt it. That would be my kind of suggestion for this. And the third piece of information, is the definition of free access. I think I debated with Sam, and then I just want to raise my concern for requiring the source to be free access. For one, I think looking at the past, there are books, there are libraries, there's a lot of things that were not published free of access. And our copyright policy is really bad. Like copying here is, to me, I don't want to put it on record, but I think we should talk to lawyers about whether it is actually right to move some things that is copyrightable to ours, which is CC0. So asking for everything either move to us or ask for a free access link is, I think, a little bit too far away. I really like the intention. I'm not saying it's not no merit. I really like the intention. I think we're living in a non-perfect world, that there's still a lot of access that it needs to be done through pay. But also we are looking at a future of tokenize a lot of things. But let's imagine there is a knowledge sharing group that want to incentivize knowledge sharing, and then they want to have some token gating. Like I won't be surprised if that is coming up in a landscape of 2 years. And do we want to like block them in the future?
Yes.
I want to kind of I know that was your intention, Sam, but I want to propose that we use the cheapest kind of like if they can find cheapest source, they should use the cheapest source type of thing to minimize. And then if it's a book, then online one, even if payment, is better than a book, I would say, because for me, buying a book somewhere is much more expensive, times consuming. There's a lot of debate here on what is really free. Even if you get a book, you cannot share with other people, right? That was not allowed. So that would be my 3 pieces of feedback. Getting I think Greg and Panda to get feedback would be one, and then I think EIP would be too much. I like to have a collaborative discussion, and then and make this a quicker decision. And the third is that we should reconsider the free access. Out of it, I think the second one I have the strongest opinion. I like to put that into consideration. But other than that, thank you for the great effort. I have also put people's in the doc that I want to merge. But I think thank BME to it. I still want to see if there's a larger consensus and make it easier to do links. I think our credibility lies in how much people want to propose EIP. They can definitely publish it somewhere else. We're just undermining our credibility and trust if we are slowing them down. We have seen that trend comes up in the consensus layer, and definitely I think the a lot of exclusive layer effort have now kind of reduced their interest in moving forward on the EIP. We have seen many valuable EIP go stagnant. So I really hope that we can resolve this problem by allowing more easily link. Yeah.
So I think you raise excellent points, but I don't agree with allowing any non-free links. I don't think requiring people to copy things into our repository is illegal from like a copyright standpoint, just because I think that's how a lot of open source projects already work. And if it was a problem, that model would have fallen apart. I don't remember what your first. Oh yeah, and we definitely want to get feedback from Greg and Panda. I don't want to move forward on this without getting their input. I think that's really important.
So I just want to give feedback. I love that intention, but this remind me of the GPL kind of philosophical, the core philosophy of behind GPL, and we also see that GPL has been like greatly used by some, but also it has been restricted of usage because of this restriction. So it's more, I'm not going to debate you. I think if the group want have a consensus or more people just want a GPL approach, like disallowing on free access, I'm okay. Like that would to me is a P2, but I really like to be able to have more just easier linked access. And I also just want to put it down that just let's compare it with GPL. Is that something you really want, or the group really want, or
I think comparing it to the GPL is a little unfair, just because the GPL is very much not what we want to do. Like, we don't want to encumber any downstream projects from the specs with further requirements. Like, if something is in the execution specs, or sorry, the EIP's repository, we want anybody to be able to use it freely for whatever they want, whether it's closed source, open source, it doesn't matter. The specs are meant to be as open as possible. So we can't even allow GPL software or documentation in the EIP's repository because it's infectious. And like personally for software I write, I love the GPL, but for the specs repository, I think it's very important, or for the EIP's repository, it's very important to not have it be GPL or anywhere near GPL.
In that sense, I feel we share the same philosophy in terms of our attitude toward GPL. I kind of feel that either you or I have missed kind of an interpretation of how this connect to GPL. I feel this is kind of creating a exclusion for a lot of sources, and which is similar to GPL. But maybe we can have a one-on-one chat.
No. I don't mind talking about it now. I think this is pretty important. So I think we are sitting in like an interesting place because we aren't trying to restrict what our downstream users do, like the people who use the EIP's repository. We're trying to restrict the authors of EIPs. So in a sense, we're doing the exact opposite of the GPL. We're saying if you want to contribute to the EIP's repository, you have to have the freest, most unencumbered like material as possible. Like GPL is too encumbered to include, and paid sources are too encumbered to include. And I think that's the philosophy that I want to go for.
I'm gonna pause there and for other people to join the conversation. Like, I heard what you said, Sam.
If I may add a couple of thoughts from my end, I am somehow inclined towards Sam's point of view because of the reason EIP repository is a repository of standards. Like, we are creating standards and we are making it available for implementers or the dApp developers, so they can pick up the standard from here and build their project on top of that. And if authors have issues with the copyright materials to be added in the EIP, they are not forced to create a standard. They are free to create their project with copyright assets, and that need not to be a part of Ethereum repository. But once you agree to bring those things to Ethereum repository, I think it should be free. So the concept here for restricting authors and making it freely available for users, I am very much inclined towards it. But yeah, I'm open for other thoughts, and maybe, yeah, if people have.
So respectfully, I understand that your intention. Respectfully, I'm not convinced, but I also don't think that we can easily convince each other at this
Right.
moment. Yeah, I like to raise the more serious, or I personally feel more concerning part, which is requiring an EIP for each source to be included. I like to circulate his thoughts about, can we, like, what's your thought of whether either that a editor group discussion would be sufficient for including them, or whether then a authors kind of yeah, whether other venue, like we can have a faster venue to get it. Like, Sam, are you open to this idea?
I don't see why we couldn't have an EIP and then everybody get on a call and approve it. Like that doesn't seem like
That would. Do we want a 2-week last call? Do we want a process of
I don't. So like, just to be clear here, a source is not each individual link. So it's not like it's going to take like 2 weeks every time somebody wants to link to a new W3C standard, right? It'll take a month or two to get W3C approved, and then it's free to link to those without any delay.
okay, if on condition that once they have a petition for EIPs, they are free to link. And in to have a compliant policy, we should say only before they go to final, they need to either remove the link or have the link accepted as an acceptable source. Is that a good understanding? Like, is that okay?
I don't think so. No, I think like
Then
I
you
don't think
have to
that
wait for it,
I don't think it's
right?
that important to link to something. Like people get by without linking today.
No, Sam, here's what I think. It's okay not to link things. We have been streaming, censoring our links. I personally feel that it only helps not good authors. Good authors want to put their proposal into context. They want to make a point. They want to kind of provide convincing evidence. They want to add their reference implementations, and then copying everything into our repository is making ourselves a encyclopedia. I don't think we can even link to Bitcoin if given some of the criterias. And I just want to cite what Light Client put here. Please let us have external links. I think we have been sacrificing our the richness, the convincingness of our EIP proposals. We have been sacrificing our authors' ability to put all their knowledge into it. Like, I'm okay to remove, I'm definitely down for removing spammy advertising links. I'm definitely down for requiring links to be certain level of reliability, right? Even you want to strict this one, like we find a strict this storage, persistent storage, find the commits, have it hashed. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay is requiring everything either to not be linked or moved to our repository. And then I think, Sam, you are doing a good thing that you are trying to find a way to allow them to be included. I do applaud for that effort. I do not share with your ideology of I think it's okay to not have linking. I think EIP needs to be a part of the internet. EIP needs to be in context with all other activities that Ethereum movement is happening. That would be my thought. We didn't say a contract cannot interact with the other contract if that contract is charging something. The openness here is that we allow openness and connection regardless of whether the other side is it. I love to be kind of open heart to someone who are even close heart to us. That would be kind of my philosophy towards the world.
I think this is somewhat similar to the paradox of tolerance, where you have to be intolerant to intolerance, or else it takes over your society. I don't know if you're familiar with that idea, but in this case, if we are open to people who are closed, it is very easy for people who are closed to take over and capture our governance process. So I think we have to be militantly against closed source. I think everything that we do needs to be free and open, and we have to fight as hard as we can to keep it that way.
I think we have been censoring links, which the other people were fighting, and then we were not allowing. Like in the good intention of allowing links that is free and open. So I'm not going to fight you if the consensus of the editors is want free links. Sure, I think I'm okay with that. I don't want to fight you with that. And I want on the other hand, I'm hoping that the process to include a source, to accept the source, can be faster. And we should have a allow list to begin with. We should not have some very basic like people have consensus with already to need to go through that process. That would be my take. Would that be something that you would be open to?
I think you're talking about standards bodies that we already think are probably good enough.
Right, like IETF that we ourselves are referencing. BIPs, for example, like hierarchical, the deterministic wallet that we are already referencing, and then consensus.
So
some of the projects.
The only reason I'd like those EIPs is so that I can just copy the format into EIPW. But I mean, I guess I don't really care that much if the EIP is there or not.
Okay, so all right, I think what I heard is that you open to that options. Right, to having them as our at least as have our initial accepted source link, so the list of source accepted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care that much. Whatever we decide, as long as it's easy enough to implement in EIPW. And I mean, I don't even mind writing the EIPs for the first sources if we have to. So.
Okay, I think we kind of have some our middle ground, Rich. That would be you and I don't know, like client is listening and other people are listening. Like, what's your thoughts? And I do believe that it should be good for, it should be necessary for Greg and Panda to be in. And I think Alex, either he's too busy or he's a little bit frustrated, or a bit of both. I think we should ask for him his feedback or input for this. He showed some strong opinion about links somewhere, I think, as well.
I have just shared a link here. It's coming up from a different proposal. I like the idea what they have done with their proposal. That's why I'm sharing here. It's the concept of external link, obviously. I'm not sure why we are trying to add external link in the EIP itself. In this EIP 5606, what they have done, they obviously have explanatory blog for explaining what they are trying to do. And I'm hoping that they would come up with some other demos and the implementation of them. But that may not necessarily be living in Ethereum repository. They could be a part.
Poja, sorry, can you share the link in again? I didn't see the link. Oh,
Right.
the one. Okay, it just got sent. Sorry.
Yeah. So here the idea is like whatever supporting document you want to share, like any external link that you want to share, you can share it in Fellowship of Ethereum Magicians. Good author wants to share all the resources they have to convince that this is a good proposal to be an Ethereum standard. So I think this is an alternate way of sharing good materials. But I'm not sure why we want to have some links which may come up with some legal issues to be added into Ethereum repository. So by the time we have a consensus on that, if people want to make use of the existing process, I think the easy way out would be sharing that information with the help of Fellowship of Ethereum Magician and keeping your EIP as clean as possible. So the bot, those are working on it, like EIPW bot that Sam mentioned, should not face any kind of challenges, because it's very important that we automate all our processes, and making exceptions every time for bot would be way more tedious. And I'm not sure how much gain we will have in long term with that.
I respectfully disagree with you, Pooja. I think the point that we disallow links is hurting. And then the alternative which we currently provided is asking people or forcing people to put things into assets folder, including some of the source that was originally issued. For example, some people were putting in code that have reference to being copied from Open Zeppelin and other things. Like those are authored actually, those are copyright licensed actually under MIT or sometimes Apache 2.0, and then having them put in the assets is essentially being relicensed from the original copyright by the author. The author.
Wait, whoa. No, we don't do that at all. We do not change people's licenses when we include them in the assets directory.
I can point you to some of the commit change that was proposing to change things from Apache to CC0. So
yeah,
I think
we can't change people's licenses. We can suggest that the authors change the licenses of things that they've proposed, but we can't actually change the licenses of let's say Open Zeppelin, like you're talking about. That has to stay whatever license Open Zeppelin uses.
Right. I agree with you in that. So linking to them, however, is kind of copywriting in a copyright sense. Linking to something doesn't create a action of copy. So in fact, linking is better in this case than asking people to put things in asset. We have also seen that some of editors were suggesting people to kind of snapshot or print them into PDF and then put in the asset. That's another type of copying. And I don't think we should kind of urge on like prefer copying over linking, unless you want to say we don't want copy either. So let's keep in EIP complete out of the context of their movement.
Well, I think we are not going to settle down on this topic today. So in the essence of time, we probably should wrap it up, because we are still on the item number 1 and we have a more to go. So if it's okay, we can bring it back in future meetings. And I would highly encourage having async discussion, because having thoughts collected before the meeting will help us coming to a consensus on the meeting for people who could not join. I just received a message from Panda Peep in the agenda that he may not be able to join this meeting today. And yeah, we are also working towards having a better timing in which we can have more participants of the meeting here. So if anyone has anything to like wrap up this topic, please feel free, and then we can jump on to the next topic.
I'll politely protest, let us link. Just joking.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Just one more information on this last piece. This 5757 proposal also has a discussion to link. So if we're not on the pull request, people are free to share their thoughts on the link to discussion there. So that can be collected later on. The next yeah, please go ahead.
And just a note on the discussion too. We currently require discussion to be on ethereummagician.org. I kind of want to have at least 2 or 3 options, so that for one, it's a free market of choice where people want to choose their discussion, and then also it's kind of a little bit like decentralized homed. I think yeah, I just want to put it down. I don't want to get into debate. I may trying to propose something, But for now, I like to just say that at least we should allow ERC research to be one of the options, alternatives to Ethereum magicians.
On that topic, we have come to a consensus for having FEM after a very long discussion, probably about a year-long discussion, that we should have a centralized discussion place. Earlier, it was multiple places. So I believe we changed this policy recently, less than 6 months ago. So I'm hoping it's, unless we have a strong exceptional case which enforces us to go out of the Fellowship of Ethereum Magician, I believe let's keep the worm in the can itself.
Okay, yeah, I like to challenge that, and I'll issue something. I first, for one, I don't see where I would love someone to point me to the discussion and consensus, and then if that is the case, we should have the EIP. Like someone should formalize that as a policy, and otherwise, I think we should. I would like to challenge that. Its discussion will never be completely centralized, and centralized just create room for censorship. We don't know the governance of the FEM. And people might not agree even if they publish, people might not agree with their governance as well. So I think it's good for them. And people were having discussion on Ethereum research. Like if we can convince Ethereum research to shut down and move things to Ethereum magician, maybe that will. But I don't think that's happening in anytime soon. So having a strong preference on Ethereum magician, I think is an infringement to freedom.
We work with Fellowship of Ethereum Magician team to work on their governance process. And as of now, as far as I am aware, there is no censorship. Anyone can go create a thread and start adding their thoughts over there. Nobody is stopping it. Yeah.
Yeah, it could. Yeah. No. So having a good governance for now doesn't guarantee a good governance for future. If we have more than one EIP process, then people is already competing governance. I hate to say that we are not the best governance. Like if we have another Ethereum proposal, like I think that there's the core team's already talking about maybe they will publish their standards somewhere else. So having that competition is healthy, and I don't think there is a strong case for centralization.
Who is planning to publish their standards elsewhere?
I think they're talking about consensus and consensus want to publish somewhere else, or maybe just leave it in their repository, which is by itself also a place to publish, right? It's just that they're not even taking a centralized place. So I think that would be my take. Like the reason we are in a very hurting position that some of us want to restriction link is that there's no competing place to publish. If there's the competing publish, they will allow link, and then we will be forced to adopt a better solution, a better governance.
Maybe if you are interested, you can create a issue there, and we'll collect feedback. If people are strongly in favor of initiating this discussion, I'll be happy to bring it up in the future EIPIP meeting on the table. But yeah, I think we have addressed a lot of concerns related to FEM, and after a year of discussion, we came to a conclusion on that. But obviously, this is like open community. You're free to create an issue over there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's move on to the next one. Here it says, propose a contributor field in preamble, allow author recognize contributors of an EIP, that is 5762. If people have thoughts on that, that is again a proposed process change.
I'm against.
This could be automated. Okay, and looks like Panda Peep has left a comment like this could be automatically populated by get author co-author data at build time. Okay.
Yeah, I
So,
don't really have a problem with displaying contributors. I just don't think it should go in the preamble. If we want to set up Jekyll to parse Git data, that might be best. But yeah, I don't think we need it in the preamble.
and if I remember correctly, we already have discussed this in the past meeting as well. And yeah, we were not having consensus at the time. Fair enough. So, yeah,
So my intention is to have the ability for authors to acknowledge someone who helped them, not necessarily through Git commit, and also contributing on Git doesn't necessarily constitute to the level of being a author, being recognized as a contributor. So that was the intention. But if people were not interested in having that, I'm okay to postpone it and maybe revisit it in a year or so. Like the intention is to promote the contributorship rather than just like the only way you can help out is being an author or editor or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be good to have a note left on the pull request number here or issue, so people know that we already have discussed this thing in the past, and unless we have some new changes in light, we do not want to bring it back on the meeting, right? If we have something new, definitely we can bring it back for active discussion.
Sounds good.
Moving on, next is process issues that haven't reached any consensus. And the number one here is 5273 that is related to EIP1 updating and start referencing ERCs at ERC-X. So we have discussed this in the past, and I believe there are a lot of ongoing discussion on this one. Yeah, if anyone would like to sum up and share their thoughts. I feel like we have divided opinion here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say again, everybody in the community is already referring to ERC category EIPs as ERC dash the number. And we really just need to accept this. Like, you know, even Vitalik is being frustrated by the fact that in the repository we're referring to ERCs as EIPs. I think this is just extremely confusing.
I'm in favor.
Right. Though I'm not in favor, yet I'm okay with moving ahead with this. My only thing that I would like to see here is the changes are made on broader level, especially on the document which is being referred by users. For example, I have added here in my comment, we write EIP -20 in the .md file of EIP 20. So if we can have that replaced with ERC, then we can maintain the consistency everywhere, even in documentation. So if people agree to change this thing, it should not only be done at the EIP1 level, it should be done everywhere. And unless we are having a process in place that we will be able to write EIP 20 as ERC 20 in .md file, probably we can wait, is my thought. Okay.
Yeah, I think the only person who's against it or have concern with it is Panda. So if we are all,
I'm also
either...
against it.
Oh, you are okay. Yeah, you should voice. I think the technical and side is kind of complex too. Yeah, procedure wise,
it's not too bad. Like, EIPW can reach into other EIPs and get their category. It's just I don't like it from like a consistency point of view. And I mean, okay, so like a lot of like ERC20s have an interface in the EIP called ERC20. So it's not even incorrect to call them ERC20 tokens because that's what the interface is called. Like, the proposal is EIP20 and the interface is ERC20, and I think that's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, we can refer any proposal the way they would like to. Instead of calling 1559 EIP 1559, people can call it as core 1559. Simply EIP 20 can be called as ERC 20, but because they are all part of a standard track EIPs, I believe whatever we decide should be applicable to all of them. And there should not be any preferences just because ERCs have a long number of proposals getting added to the repository. We should not change the repository for that purposes. But again, I'm open when we have the process in place to avoid confusion at every level.
I fell off at the last minute, sorry.
Not
You
a
missed
problem.
the against argument. You missed Sam's against argument.
I heard the consistency part. I don't know if there was a lot else to it. I agree
That
that
was pretty much it.
it's not consistent. I agree, it's stupid. We have EIP-20.MD. I agree, I hear you. But I think the community has already decided this for us, and I think it's like hostile of us at this point to force the community to refer to them in a different way.
So to be clear, you want the files to remain EIP 20, but you want references to the proposal numbered 20 to be ERC-20.
I mean, it would be great and preferable for it to be ERC-20.MD, but I am worried about breaking the links that already exist to GitHub EAP.MDs. You know, I mean, maybe one way is we go through all of the ERCs and create, you know, copy the EAP into an ERC-number.md and delete the content of the EIP-number.md and say this is now placed here. We can do that. Maybe leave that up for a year or two. But I don't love that situation that much either.
My understanding is like more than EIP1. If someone is trying to follow an ERC, they are going towards the .md file of that proposal and maybe towards the eips.ethereum.org and then look for that particular EIP. So if we really want to have like, you know, consistency all over the platform and educate people about what do we really want to say to this thing, that would be a better start. We can definitely go ahead and change it to EIP 20 to ERC 20. However, we made this change recently to look EIP 1 as a standard document, like what we use for documentation purposes. And that's how we started referring it to authors documenting new proposal that do not call it as ERC 20, call it as EIP 20. So my bottom line here is like we should focus on how we can make these changes, and depending upon the trade-off that we have, like how long we can take and how complex the situation is and how it will affect the bots that we are running around, we make a decision on that.
I mean, I just don't think there's any decision really to be made. Like the decision was made for us by the community. The community does not want to refer to them as EIPs. The only decision is to figure out how to do this in the best way. And I really don't care that much. It's more a matter of the people who are maintaining the bots.
It's
I
like
agree.
maybe an hour and a half of work. It's not that bad.
Yeah, the same with
Victor, we are losing you.
underscore. Okay,
I'm sorry.
can you hear
Can you
me?
please repeat? Yeah, better now.
Okay. Yeah. So I said that we used to a broken link. Yeah, I'm in favor of kind of weak, strong, weak preference in favor of changing it and using the ERC. The only concern for now is the same, that we worry about the broken link. And we do have precedents that ERC20 used to have a different name, right? And then we kept that file for a little while. EIP-20 underscore something. And then, so I think the backward compatibility, once it's solved, will be okay. So yeah, that would be my take. Yeah, I'm in favor of this change. I'm done speaking.
Right. Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, if people think that we have a consensus to move ahead with this proposal, or do we want to continue discussion? And I really do not want to take the floor here because I may have different opinions. So definitely like to open it for people.
Thank
So
you. I think we should account. I think we should factor in Panda Peep's opinion. I hold completely opposite opinion to Panda Peep, but I think he's an important stakeholder who actually have done a lot of work together with Sam on those like linking tools. So they should have a say.
Panda Peep unfortunately could not join us today. And I see this pull request is opened by him, obviously for getting consensus and then moving ahead with it. So there is a YouTube link for that. I know, like you brought up this topic. I'm not sure. Do we want to come up to a conclusion for the meeting? I mean, for this particular topic to be shared with the community, or do we want it to be like coming up next meeting as well? And in the meantime, what we can assess about is how easy or difficult it will be for bot to handle these things, and how long would it take to maybe able to replace and not replace at all, keeping that as an option. Though I feel that it will be confusing if we do not replace the EIPs with ERCs. Okay, so maybe we can keep it for one more meeting. I will ask Panda Peep and Greg to also add their weight, like if whatever they think about it. And yeah, we hope to come to a conclusion in the upcoming meeting, though we tried it in multiple meetings in the past. But with the new DEFCON and new thoughts that I'm sure people may have met and they have all kind of discussion. So it would be a good time to collect feedback and what people think may be helpful for this. Sorry, I think I'm blabbering right now.
I think we're all just a little tired.
Of this topic, yeah. Well, okay, maybe we can move on for now. Sorry, like client, we could not come to a decision on this in this meeting as well. But I hope that we should conclude this as soon as possible. It's been there for a very long time. The next one here is a new contract interface, and EIP should be required only include a privacy consideration. Do people have thought on that?
It's not applicable for the majority of EIPs, and the EIPs that it is applicable for can put it in the security considerations section.
Can we have a note added over there so we be able to close this comment if it is not applicable for majority of the EIPs? Because as long as issues are open, people feel that we are not trying to address them. So it would be nice to have them, like, addressed and closed.
I like to mention that the current EIPW or the linking tool seems to complain if you add a new title, add a new section. Can we have a catch-all fallback section for everything else, like other considerations, and then put privacy considerations below it? I personally think that I'm not a big fan of putting privacy consideration under security considerations. A lot of people conflate the two concepts. and as a cryptography movement and EIP, and like we should not conflict them. I am personally in favor of either have it as like security and privacy consideration, or have a new catch-all consideration, like other consideration, and let people put anything down there.
Okay. If you haven't already added your thoughts in the issue, probably you can add it over there, and then we can also add comment of Sam that it is not applicable to majority of EIPs due to security consideration, and we can.
Yeah, that's already on there.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Cool. I know we are having just 5 minutes left, and we have a lot of issues and pull requests to discuss, but I would like to take this opportunity to decide on the next meeting time. There were 4 proposals, 1400 UTC, 1430 UTC, and 15 and 1530. I could not see a consensus there, like we could not get a good mix of all to be coming up to one point. However, I feel like 1430 to 1530 sounds like a good slab where either people who are available at 1430 and who are available at 15 should be able to do so. Do people think that we can have it at 1430 or 15 is preferred between 14 and 15?
If we can on the table, I think Panda expressed strong preference on the weekend.
I'm not sure if that is possible because, you know, all these editors and everybody else, they are working on full-time basis. They also deserve some kind of break on the weekends. So probably we have to keep these meetings in the weekdays itself, because that's a part of their job. I mean, obviously they are helping us. It's not their job, but definitely we should be mindful of their breaks as well.
Yeah, I don't mind the occasional weekend meeting, but I don't want a recurring one.
Good. Yeah, I'm okay either. So I'm actually okay for all times. And then yeah, but the 1500, 1430, 1500 is better. But yeah, I can do anytime of those.
Sorry, 1400, is that an hour earlier than the current time, or is that the current time?
Current time it is. 1400 is current time, and I'm proposing either 1430 or 1500.
Yeah, so anytime 1400 or later is fine for me. They all work.
They all work
Okay.
for me too.
Okay, so how about 1500? Does that work for everyone, at least present in this meeting? We have 3 voices, we can hear that. And then
Asking the people who can make it to this time is a little biased because
no, I'm asking like if they can join after an hour. 1400 is the current time, and if they can join after an hour, 1500.
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm definitely okay.
Okay, and looks like I received the response from Greg, and he was also open for 1500, I believe. So he should be fine there too. Only is PandaPay, but unfortunately, I think he has selected only one option, which is not getting fit here. So let's hope he can make it.
Yeah, can you also reach out to EIPIP if he wants to be invited or no?
Sorry, I could not catch. Whom should I reach out to?
Exit.
Oh, I did. I mean, like he did mention in the past that he is swamped with too many calls, so may not be very much interested into joining this call on top of 6 calls that he takes in a day. So yeah, it's fine. He is okay with async, but I will definitely try to do it one more time if need be. So, with this new proposed time, 1500 UTC. All right, so I think it's about time. I had a couple of more issues from my end only to discuss. I'll take it up async. And I know there are a few topics added by PandaPip. Unfortunately, we could not get there, and he also could not join. I hope to pick them up in the next meeting if that hasn't been addressed in the meantime asynchronously. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and I'm going to create agenda for the next meeting for 1500 UTC. Obviously try to inform every party so we have good attendance in the next meeting as well. Thank you everyone. See you in 2 weeks. Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you.